Okay, we're going to talk about overlapping controls, front brake, and throttle. So part of what that's going to require is me to kind of show you how I set up the front brake and how we work the throttle. You're not going to see me on camera. This is just going to be my hand. Hello. But a couple things we're going to do is we're going to talk about setup. We're going to talk about concept. I'm going to ride around a little bit, and you will kind of see the process there. So we've discussed the advantages of overlapping controls, and when we talk about the controls that we're overlapping, we are talking, as far as this video goes, the front brake and the throttle. Okay, so most motor schools will teach you need gas, great. When you're done, you let off. If you need brake, 4-finger braking for dexterity purposes, for leverage, and so on and so forth. And that's about it. My experience with that is that the 4-finger braking concept, I think, made sense in 1950 when Harley Davidsons had drum brakes or it was raining out. But motorcycles are so strong now that 4-finger braking all by itself, in my opinion, is just way too much. Again, I can get the back end off the ground on this heavy BMW with just my index finger. So that's one thing as far as the amount of fingers on the throttle and what you're, on the front brake. So Harleys are not adjustable. My recommendation would be to get a front brake lever that is adjustable. So when I talk about adjustments on this particular bike, as you can see, where I like, if you look at this part of my finger, I like the lever to sit right about there. Why there in the middle? Well, because when I pull it all the way in, it doesn't, what's called cage, it doesn't lock my fingers. I can't pull this thing all the way in where these fingers get trapped. I don't want to trap them. But it also is far enough in that when I pull the front brake, I have a lot of leverage and a lot of strength in my finger versus, say, pulling it out here where my finger's not quite as strong, okay? So I like that middle part. So I've adjusted my lever with this adjuster here. This I can move in and out to, so I'm going to move it. That's all the way out. Now, as you can see, I kind of have to reach to get to that middle point. So I like it in a little bit where it's a little too far in. Somewhere right about there. That's about what I like. So what that also allows me to do sitting here is I have range of motion with my finger when I'm moving the throttle. So if I accelerate, I'm full throttle right now, but what's that? My finger's still on the brake. So as I let off, see how I'm squeezing that front brake? This is something I want you to practice just sitting on the motorcycle. But we're going to talk about, again, overlapping controls. So all that means is that when I'm using throttle, if I'm letting off the throttle or I'm getting on the throttle, I'm also letting off and getting on the brake depending on what I'm doing. Okay? So let me move that a little more. So there are plenty of videos that talk about trail braking, and in trail braking you need to overlap controls. Where I use it in police motor competition stuff is that it allows me to accelerate really hard, full throttle, and then as I'm coming into a section, as I'm letting off the throttle, I'm pulling on the brakes and I start trail braking. I start leaning this motorcycle over, and as I'm leaning it over and I'm on the brakes, it's doing a combination of things. It's loading the front of the bike because I'm not taking that second to let off the gas and then reach out and grab the brake. We no longer have that gap in time and space where the motorcycle is effectively kind of freewheeling. If I'm in gear, I might have some drag from the rear wheel as the RPMs are dropping, but more or less I'm coasting. I'm accelerating, then I'm off, and then now I'm coasting until I can get on that front brake. So we want to eliminate that gap there. What we want to do is full throttle, driving into a section, I'm off the gas, I'm on the brake. So take a look at that for a second. I'm off the gas, and I'm on the brake, okay? So I'm overlapping these controls. While the gas is on, I'm grabbing those brakes. Now, conversely, after I've apexed around a turn, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we talked a little bit about why we're trail braking. And again, a lot of good videos on trail braking, so watch those. But we're loading the front of the bike. We're compressing the front suspension. We're getting better traction. Because we're compressing the suspension, we're reducing the trail, and the motorcycle's a little tighter. It helps when we're leaned over and we have front brake. It makes the motorcycle want to fall over a little more, so it makes actually dropping in a little easier. So there's plenty of advantages to trail braking. Now, once we're in the turn, and now we're going to be rolling out of the brake because I'm off the gas, you're going to see I'm going to start ever so slightly getting on the gas as I'm coming off the brake. I'm overlapping those controls in the opposite example. So rather than I'm off the brake, full throttle, now I'm on the brake, coming off the gas. Now as I'm slowing down, I'm turning, I'm leaning over, I'm easing off the brake as I'm coming on the gas. And in both cases, this bike is not freewheeling. I'm not on the gas, then off, then on the brake, then off, then on the gas, then off, then on the brake, then off. We don't do that. We're overlapping those two things. So in order to do that and get comfortable with that, you need to, first of all, like I had just kind of shown you, you need to set this lever up so that you're sitting right here. Again, I use my index finger. Why don't I use my middle finger? I grew up racing dirt bikes. That's just kind of what we did, one or two fingers. A lot of guys are two finger. That's fine too. There's really no wrong way to do it. I'd say that's probably going to be challenging, but if you can do it and you like it and it feels great to you, then awesome. The goal being overlapping controls. That's our goal, okay? And remember, covering that front brake is a necessity in order to accomplish this. You cannot do this drill if you're riding like this without your finger on the brake, covering it. So remember, we talk about, collision factors. Well, perception reaction time is huge. So that's one of those key things. If you can really get comfortable with this, and you'll notice I ride with my finger resting here all the time. I'm ready to stop the bike. Can I impact my perception in a emergency? No. That's pretty much, it is what it is. I mean, pay attention. I usually don't listen to music when I ride my motorcycle. I try to pay attention. I listen to the motor. I try to keep kind of my head on a swivel when I ride. But I can affect the reaction time because, believe it or not, you're going 60, 70 miles an hour. The amount of time it takes you to shut off the gas, reach over here and grab brake, you may eat up 30, 40, 50 feet. Who knows? Even if you eat up 2 more feet, why? Why not use the front brake, have it ready, so once you perceive a problem, boom, I'm on. And I've just cut down that amount of distance that I'm slowing this motorcycle down to, even if I do impact something, instead of hitting it at 50 or 40, maybe I'm hitting it at 30 or 20. Still better. I'll take that. So we're going to ride around a little bit. And remember, you can just literally sit in your garage and practice that. It's going to feel weird. Even just sitting on your motorcycle, talking to your friends, just mess with the lever, just get used to it. So what I'm going to do is, and I apologize for the vibration we're about to get here, but what I want to do is we're going to ride around a little bit, and we're just going to get used to riding around with that, covering that front brake. So here I'm using the front brake to slow down a little. Now we're taking off. So I'm on the gas right now, but I'm still covering that front brake. So always, this is a muscle memory thing too, in the sense that my finger is always here. Do I use the rear brake also? Sure. The front brake's 80 to 90% of my braking though, so it's far more important. So we're just riding around now, covering that front brake all the time. So one of the drills I'd like you to work on is let's just slow the motorcycle down. How would we do that? Instead of that, let's do it covering that front brake. It's so much smoother. It's just immediate. You start covering the front brake like that, and I guarantee you, after you do that for a week or two, you won't believe you ever didn't do it. It's one of those things that it just becomes so seamless and really smooths out your riding. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into this parking lot, and one way to practice this is figure eights. And the nice thing about a figure eight, again, it mirrors everything one direction to the other. A figure eight more or less encompasses everything that you're going to be doing. Turning around left, turning around right. So we're just going to do, so right now, I'm just doing nice slow figure eights, right? And my finger's resting on the front brake. Am I using front brake right now? No. I could effectively just do this, right? No difference. But this is a muscle memory thing. I want you to get comfortable and used to doing this, okay? So now when we start speeding up, we talk about trail braking. We're gonna need to do a little bit faster figure eight for that to happen and for me to really show that to you, okay? Can I grab front brake in this tight turn this slow? Sure, right here I can grab front brake, pull the motorcycle over. So I'm gonna show you a little bit about how we wanna. So at that lean angle part, when I'm throwing the bike in right here, I'm rolling now, and just try to watch this. You'll and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my finger off the brake when I'm actually off of it, which I wouldn't normally do, but that way you can kind of see I'm off the brake. But I'm already on the gas. I'm on the gas and on the brake at the same time. Absolutely overlapping those things. So, and listen to the motor if you can. Now, one of the things I harp on is set up that clutch throttle before you add lean angle to the bike. That's one of those police motor things a lot of guys don't do. And it makes a big difference in making the bike easier to throw around, as well as being set to catch this thing. If you miscalculate or hit something that wants to throw the bike down a little more, you've already set the clutch throttle up. And why that's important is when I'm trail braking right here, I'm already setting up that clutch throttle. Listen to the motor. So it's already set. Realistically, I have all that free time when I'm slowing down. Right here, I'm slowing down. Set up the clutch. See that? We're just setting it up a little early. Why? Because all I'm doing is slowing the bike down. I have plenty of time rather than slow the bike down and try to catch it here when I'm already in a turn. That's a lot more dangerous. It makes the bike heavier. So there's a lot of negatives to waiting to set that clutch up. Nonetheless, now so here's full throttle. But as you can see, I'm able to cover that front brake the whole time under full throttle. So one of the drills you can work on is rolling on the throttle, rolling on the brake. So this is just you know, we want to get used to overlapping those controls. Okay? So from now on, you always cover this front brake. 2 fingers better for you? That's fine too. 2 fingers don't matter. I mean that works just the same. It works in the same way. Works in the same way as one, see? It's all the same. I just, you know, this is a modern heavy dual disc bike. I don't need 2 fingers. All right. So that's the reason we want to overlap controls, is for the trail baking benefits, for the reaction time benefits, and to unsettle this chassis as little as possible. Okay, so there we go, and we're back.